Hey, friends! Pirates! They're a thing. So this time, we're looking at a pirate movie. It's Swashbuckler from 1976. One of my viewers, my friend Michael, suggested this one, and I was curious, not having seen it. Actually, I'd never even heard of it, so I tracked down a copy of this here DVD. Now, he says it's a hoot, so let's check it out, shall we? Our story goes like this. It's pirate times, and pirates are running around. One of them is going to be executed by the evil Lord Durant, governor of this Caribbean island. But then along comes a pirate ship at the last minute to effect a rescue. Meanwhile, Durant has thrown an honest magistrate into jail for not going along with his evil plans. He's also seized the man's property, which means his wife and daughter are thrown out into the streets. The major in charge of the detail, Major Folly, is pretty dumb and later gets robbed by the pirates. The daughter vows revenge on Durant and looks for a way to free her father. She runs into the pirate captain, Ned Lynch, who has some of the jewelry he stole from Major Folly. Jewelry that rightfully belongs to her. And she and Captain Ned are naturally gonna become an item once she understands where the stolen goods came from. Now one day, Lord Durant decides to pack up, take all of his stolen treasure, and sail for home. Being a bad guy, he decrees that all prisoners will be put to death, including James' dad. So our heroine has to convince the captain to help save the day. He gets all of the treasure in the bargain. Can Durant be stopped? Can Ned win against this tyrant and get the treasure? And will he get the girl? In our cast, we have Robert Shaw as the captain. Love Robert Shaw. He thought this movie was far more challenging than what he did in Jaws, given all of the physical action he had to do, which he wasn't too wild about. But he looks good doing the swordplay. The late James Earl Jones is here too. Man, he looks young, doesn't he? I'm used to seeing him heavier and grayer on top. He's doing stunts and all kinds of stuff here. A regular man of action. His character is interesting too. Peter Boyle plays the villain of the piece, the Governor Lord Durant. He's chewing up the scenery. He's so over the top you never quite know how seriously to take him. Definitely a bad guy though, and Boyle is playing this thing absolutely arrow straight. Except for this scene where he's sharing a tub with a young man. Beau Bridges plays the incompetent, bumbling officer of the guard, Major Folly. Now, he's one of the baddies, but his character doesn't seem to be meant to be taken too seriously. Kind of like the Sergeant in the Zorro pictures. Sort of a comedic relief type of thing. Except at the very end, when Bridges gets a moment where he rises above and he's doing some real acting there. I like that. Not Captain Janeway, Geneviève Bujold is the love interest Jane. She's a bit odd here. I'd almost classify her as a proto-girl boss, only not so insufferable as modern girl bosses are. She can handle a sword too. Where she learned how to do that is anyone's guess, but she can handle a sword and looks good fighting. There's one scene where she goes swimming in the All Together. Now, for some reason, I can't figure out, they took 2 whole days to film her nude scene. And she had to dive into the water over and over again. No idea why they insisted on so many reshoots from all these different angles. I mean, what could possibly be the reason, right? But in the end, we don't get much of a view, though. Just from the side as she dives into the water, and that's at a distance, and then we see her butt underwater. That's all. Anyway, Bujold said she didn't mind. She was cool with it because she wasn't inhibited, and the water was nice to swim in. So there you go. Everybody won. We also have an interesting supporting cast here. Jeffrey Holder plays Cujo. a knife thrower. He's arguably most famous for two roles. As the voodoo guy in Live and Let Die, Roger Moore's debut as James Bond, and also from the 7-Up commercials as the Uncola guy with the big laugh.
Now don't you feel good about 7-Up? Of course you do.
Don't you feel good about 7-Up?
Do you remember that? He did a lot of work on stage and was also a painter. Ah, man, I miss that guy. Tom Clancy, not the author, is here as Mr. Moonbeam. Clancy was most famous for being part of an Irish singing group, the Clancy Brothers, and he warbles a period shanty or two in the picture. Comedian Avery Schreiber, I miss him too. From the Doritos commercials, that's where I remember him best.
Nacho cheese Doritos. The crunch says Doritos. The flavor says cheese.
He's here as one of the pirates, and Angelica Houston plays, get this, a woman of dark visage. That's how she's credited. She has no lines whatsoever. She's just hanging out with Lord Durant's entourage. Sid Haig shows up. Kip Niven is here. We last saw him in my review for New Year's Evil. He was in Airport 75, Earthquake, and Magnum Force, a whole bunch of stuff. A great cast, right? Even the boat is listed in the opening and closing credits. It gets a credit too! The Golden Hind II was a then-new replica of the famous ship sailed by Sir Francis Drake back in the day. It had just completed a voyage retracing Drake's trip around the world. So this was the closest you could get to having a real pirate ship or something like that in a pirate movie. Here, the Golden Hind is playing the role of the Blarney Cock. So the picture's got a cock in it. It has a cock. See? It's right there. It's the ship's mascot. But what? It's a cock. What'd you think of him? I don't know. Speaking of this ship, shooting a movie on a sailing ship was hellaciously expensive back in the day, and they kind of found that out on Cutthroat Island and Waterworld and stuff. That's because the horizon line would keep bouncing up and down all over when the boat was sailing around. So in order to avoid that, the studio heads insisted that most of the action in this picture be shot on land. And it's true. Most of the story takes place in the town or on the beach, and the ship never tangles with another vessel. The most it does is fire on the fortifications and never really gets shot at in return. The story is set in the Caribbean, but since Jamaica was too modern looking to pass as a pirate-era location, the filmmakers had to build their port set in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And it looks really good. It looks like a real period piece, doesn't it? So how about it? Is this thing any good? Well, there's a lot of humor in this movie, and most of it is of the very tongue-in-cheek variety, so your mileage may vary. Some people will hate that. Some won't mind it. I didn't mind once I realized that's what they were doing. The stunts are good, and the swordplay is first-rate. I would have liked to have seen a sea battle, but, you can't have everything. I think all of the characters are pretty good. This one is a real throwback kind of movie, the kind we never see anymore, and that's a shame. So I'm giving Swashbuckler 2.5 paws up. It's a fun romp and well worth a watch. You take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.